Today, cashless welfare cards do more harm than good. Hello again, it's Martin North from Digital Finance Analytics, with the latest post covering finance and property news with a distinctively Australian flavour. As you know, the cash ban discussions continue, and in fact there is quite a lot of misdirection going on, with recent articles, I think seeded by the government, trying to deflect attention towards the gangs and the poor behaviour of a very small section of the community, and away from the real reasons why the cash ban is not good policy. However, the cashless welfare card is another strategy that the Australian government is also involved in, and frankly, I think this is a mess too. The Australian government touts compulsory income management as a way to stop welfare payments being spent on alcohol, drugs, or gambling. And as The Conversation reports, the Howard government introduced the Basics card more than a decade ago, and around 22,500 welfare recipients now use it, mostly in the Northern Territory. And now the coalition government has big plans for a more versatile cashless debit card, trialled on about 12,700 people in 4 regional communities in Western Australia, South Australia and Queensland. And that card is the indue cashless debit card. Now, these trials aren't complete, nor are the findings compiled, but a string of senior ministers, including Prime Minister Scott Morrison, have indicated that they are already sold on expanding the program.
The Australian National Audit Office report into the trials so far said that the approach to monitoring and evaluation was inadequate. As a consequence, it's difficult to conclude whether there had been a reduction in social harm and whether the card was a lower cost welfare quarantining approach. So the Auditor General seems to think that the evidence is out.
Well, it seems like we can make some further improvements, but what we do know is that the people who are involved themselves in these communities have welcomed them and supported the plan.
But what are you?
And so I'm happy to keep giving it a go, Lee.
Sorry to interrupt, Prime Minister, but what are you basing that on? Because I'm basing it on the Australian National Audit Office report. I'm just wondering what you're basing it on. I'm basing it on the survey, based on the survey of people who've actually participated, which has been done as part of the trials and been part of the evaluation process. People on welfare sometimes already feel a sense of shame about that. Isn't making something like this mandatory instead of opt-in potentially contributing to that sense of shame?
No, I don't think it is, and I don't think it should be characterised in those terms at all. I think it should be seen for what it is, and that's a genuine attempt to do things that help people in these situations, to help them better manage the resources that they have, and to ensure that there's food on the table for the people who depend on these payments that are going into these families, and that they can get themselves into a position to deal with issues in their own lives, and they can go and find themselves in employment and be in even greater control of their own lives.
But the research featured in The Conversation, Hidden Costs, an independent study into income management in Australia, adds to the evidence that compulsory income management policies do as much harm as good. And it creates financial instability. Over the past year, they conducted the first independent multi-site study of compulsory income management in Australia, and it involved 114 in-depth interviews in 4 sites: Playford and Ceduna in South Australia, Shepparton in Victoria, and the Bundaberg and Hervey Bay region in Queensland. And they also conducted 199 survey responses from around Australia. Proponents of compulsory income management champion its potential to provide a stabilising factor in the lives of families with regard to financial management and to encourage safe and healthy expenditure of welfare dollars. As the then Social Services Minister Paul Fletcher said in March last year. But their study found some individuals experience these benefits, but most face extra financial challenges. These include not having enough cash for essential items, being unable to shop at preferred outlets, being unable to buy second-hand goods, and cards being declined even when they're supposed to work. In Playford, Jacob, not his real name, told the survey about being on the basic card, which can only be used with merchants that have agreed to not allow cardholders to buy excluded goods. The limits on where he could shop made it harder for him to manage his finance. I couldn't make decisions about saving money, he told the survey. He and his wife used to catch the train to shop at the Adelaide markets, for example, but vendors there couldn't take the Basics card. The cashless debit card is intended to overcome the limitations of the Basics card. It's like a debit card, except it can't be used to withdraw cash or at businesses that sell prohibited items. But Emma, again not her real name, a single mother in the Bundaberg and Hervey Bay area, told of her struggles to make basic purchases using the card. It often failed, even at businesses that purportedly accepted it, and a family went without. She also felt excluded from the markets and second-hand retailers where she used to shop. Her greatest stress, however, was rent. Emma said that she had always been on time with rental payments until the cashless debit card, and she described one occasion when, 2 days after paying the rent, the money bounced back into her account. When she rang the card's administrator, which is the card payment company Indue, she was told, "It's just a minor teething issue, just keep trying." The extra stress from worrying about which payments were going to get paid was considerable, and others shared similar experiences. All this creates social disintegration. Supporters of compulsory income management claim it brings people back into the community by combating addiction and encouraging pro-social behaviour and economic contribution. As Federal Attorney General Christian Porter said in 2018, the cashless debit card can help to stabilise the lives of young people in the new trial locations by limiting spending on alcohol, drugs and gambling, and thus improving the chances of young Australians finding employment or successfully completing education or training. However, the study found the card can also stigmatise and infantilise users, pushing people without those problems further to the margins. One of the problems is that compulsory income management is routinely applied based on where a person lives and their payment type, and not on any history of problem behaviour. And the large majority of their respondents indicated that they did not have alcohol, drug or gambling issues. The majority of survey respondents had in fact been managing finances well before compulsory income management. But as Ray in Suduna explained, having the card meant that he was viewed as a problem citizen. "I'm embarrassed that I have to use it at the supermarket, which is about the only place I do use it. I sort of look around and see who's behind me in the queue. I don't want anyone to see me using it." And this was a common experience across the interview sites. Mary Ann in Shepparton told about being judged for shopping with groceries with her basic card. "I got called a junkie." And I said, "I'm not a junkie. Do you see any marks or anything?" They were like, "No, but you have a basic card." And I said, "What's that got to do with it? Centrelink gave it to me. I can't do nothing." And here is a possible path forward that they suggest. The overwhelming finding from their study is that compulsory income management is having a disabling, not an enabling, impact on many users' lives. As the policy has been extended, more and more Australians with no pre-existing problems have been caught up in its path. This does not mean a genuine voluntary scheme could not be maintained, but it would need to sit alongside evidence-based measures to tackle poverty. Addressing the inadequacy of income support payments, ensuring decent employment and training opportunities, and providing accessible social services and secure and affordable housing will be a better starting point for creating healthier lives and flourishing communities. And I absolutely agree with that. The problem is jumping to a simple payment card as a way of trying to address a very complicated social set of issues is nuts. But once again, I think that the government is jumping towards a simple solution which actually is creating more harm than good. And we've seen that before with the cash ban, and we see it again with this particular scheme. I'm Martin North from Digital Finance Analytics. Many thanks for watching, and I'll see you again.